Hey everyone! Black Mirror's 4th season is out on Netflix with more Twilight Zone style psychological torture porn to warm your heart during these chilly winter days and to brighten your hopes for our technological future as we look ahead at a new year. Happy New Year, by the way. We'll all soon be trapped in simulations.
Hooray!
We're going to be covering everything, the 6 episodes of the season, which, as a reminder, are USS Callister, Arkangel, Crocodile, Hang the DJ, Metalhead, and Black Museum. We're going to review the highs and lows, guys. We're going to offer our personal rankings, compare them to our all-time favorite episodes of the series. We're also going to get into some Easter eggs that you might have missed. We got some trivia based on Black Mirror. We're going to be covering all kinds of things, as well as some Star Wars-related news. Guys, welcome to New Rockstars News. This is our weekly deep dive into all the biggest stories this week. Yes, by the way, this panel discussion show used to go by a slightly different name, but after realizing a couple other things online shared that title.
Cease and desist.
Doing a rebranding.
Oh, we got a C&D. There's a lot of C&Ds this week.
A C&D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that because you completely wrecked all of the, what is it, any fandom? You destroyed it single-handedly?
Oh, because of our reference in The Hollywood Reporter.
Ooh, we're also going to get to that this episode.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, I'm
We were
so
mentioned in The
excited.
Hollywood Reporter.
Oh, guys, we are blowing
Nice,
it.
guys.
We have arrived. But don't worry, despite this little rebranding that we're going through, we're still the same insightful, nerdy, occasionally cringingly hilarious chat show with the same insightful, nerdy, occasionally cringingly hilarious hosts.
Like me, Tommy Bechtold.
Whoa, wow.
Well.
New Year's resolution kicking in early. I'm Erik Voss. Joining me at this table are...
I'm Sam. I bring the cringe.
I'm Filup Molina. I bring just water for everyone. And I'm glad to be back, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah,
Good
so
have
good to have you back.
buddy.
I'm Maude. I thought I brought the cringe, so I guess we're cringe squared.
Cringe off.
Too much cringe.
How the cringe stole Christmas. I know words and references.
I like that joke.
I like the guy that's sitting there like, all right, let's get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get started.
Sir, sorry.
We apologize. With our top story, Black Mirror Season 4 is now on Netflix. And I already recapped the names of them, but just remind you what happens in each episode. USS Callister is about a shy game developer who traps clones of his coworkers in a Star Trek-type simulation with him as captain, but also their plot to mutiny against him and escape.
Wow.
Arkangel was about an overprotective mother who uses an invasive app to censor her daughter's perception of the world and to try to restrain the girl's rebellious behavior, with disastrous results, as is always the case. Crocodile was about a woman who goes on a killing spree to cover her tracks in a world where memory reading technology is used by police and insurance companies. Hang the DJ was the one lighthearted, warm episode.
Yay.
It's about a couple who meet in a dating app that tells them their expiration dates or expiry dates. But like many
Hey,
Black Mirror
whoa,
episodes,
back up. What was that?
It's a little
Expiry.
dates.
That's what they
what
say.
I say.
Dates.
Huh? Wait, you know expiration.
I can't tell
Expiry
who's on
date.
which side of me.
You gotta shoot us both. But like many Black Mirror episodes, yeah, it's part of a deeper conspiracy. Metalhead is about a woman on the run from a dog, which is one of the four-legged robots that relentlessly hunt humans in the post-apocalyptic world that this takes place in. Did I say dog weird? I definitely said dog
Yeah,
You
weird.
said a lot of things weird. I think you're doing a voice thing since I left.
Dog.
Yeah. I'm auditioning to be a voice actor and just working a lot of different accents. Yeah, hire me.
It's good. You should switch a lot between sentences.
Yeah,
I love
like,
it when
I
you-
want to show them my range.
Every other word will be a Jamaican accent.
That's your
And finally, Black Museum is about a roadside museum with exhibits from past Black Mirror stories and with new short stories about a pain-addicted doctor and technology that allowed coma patients and incapacitated people's consciousnesses to be inserted into the minds of other people and hitchhike along. Okay, we're going to talk about all those. So actually, spoiler warning, if you haven't seen all the Black Mirror episodes of this new season, we'll probably give you a heads up. We're going to say exactly what the twist is at the end of the episode.
But we knew you
should-
guys binged it.
Yeah.
You definitely
Who
You
did
had
watch
time.
it like the day it came out?
Yeah.
Right.
I think we all watched
Yeah.
one, and then I know I had the thought of like, I feel good right now, so I'm gonna go to sleep.
Yeah.
Because it's always the risk of like you watch a second one and it's baby murder or something.
Yeah.
And you're just like, now I have to go to bed with this.
Well,
Everyone's a pedophile. It's the worst.
At least no one
Spoiler.
had
Black
sex with an
Mirror.
animal
Yeah.
this time.
Huh?
No one had sex with an animal this time, so.
No.
Hey.
Yay.
No, we
progress.
Yeah.
That one blocked out of my memory, so thank you for that.
Every time someone says, "I haven't seen it," where should I start? And I say,
No, not
episode
that one.
one,
Yeah.
season
Yeah,
one.
work
I
your way
say,
back to
I
it
say
first.
season
The
3,
piggy
episode 1?
That one has nothing to do with
Season 3, that was
Episode
the
1?
Ding. Nosedive. Yeah, the 5-star rating. That was a good one to start with. Yeah, for sure. Well, of this season, what was everyone's favorite episode?
Ooh.
I think it unanimously goes without saying that it's 3, 2, 1.
Hang the
DJ.
I'm so glad that I was wrong on that one. Did anyone hang the DJ with me?
Hang the
Hang the
DJ.
DJ is like, you know, it's inoffensive and it makes you feel good in right a moment that you need it. When, you know, Netflix makes their series creators understand the binging process, and so they tell them a lot about how episodes, you know, need to play off of each other and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure, you know, Brugger already had that in his head, but that you just needed a hang the DJ moment.
Why? Because they
to
put you in a
happen.
hole and then they needed to give you a ladder to climb out of it.
Essentially.
Which literally happens in the episode.
You know, it's like
yeah.
when you get tortured and then the one guy brings you like a cookie and you're like, it's
Just
okay.
tell them where the plans are. This could
And
be.
then the guy comes back and just like kicks the crap out of you.
They're on the same side, Sam.
Yeah.
So, you know.
No, that's the nice guy. Don't worry.
But so Hang the DJ, I think, is everybody is like, I feel better now, so I want to say this is like the best episode of the season. But I know you and I both had like a visceral reaction to San Junipero last season,
Yeah.
and like when you
Who
compare it
wept?
to that, you're like, oh,
I
well,
wept.
that was truly
I
magical.
didn't. I was like, that was sweet.
No, I wept.
You were dehydrated,
I was
though,
sitting
maybe.
there and I was like losing so much fluid, just like.
And you're mostly fluid. You're just like
We're all
so
mostly
much
fluid.
skin.
Yeah.
But I feel that, like, yes, when you're talking about technology, it's so easy to go bleak and dark and scary that it is nice to have this one episode that just does provide some just pure beauty, really.
Right. I agree. And I think that was my initial reaction to it. We actually did another video that kind of explores Hang the DJ deeper. And as I was making that video, I have a theory that it's actually a little bit more bleak than
Why would you
no,
do
you're the
this?
worst.
No, go ahead, ruin it for everyone.
That was what they did for San Junipero, and then Charlie Booker came out. He was like, "This is the happiest thing I could possibly write.
ruining
Let
this."
it be happy." Anyways, go
I'm going
ahead.
to make you sad because think of it this way. If you re-examine this episode, if the point of the simulation was to encourage the two people to rebel and to escape the system with each other, do they truly have free will? Were they being programmed and being manipulated into leaving this cycle? Like, that's something that even Amy says. She's like, I think this is the point of the system, is that we leave together. It's a test.
You think it's like a flawed test because it makes you want to escape.
It makes you want to escape.
But
It
here's
gives
the
you all
thing.
these encouragements
It
to
doesn't
to
tell you
leave.
who you have to escape with.
Well, it kept bringing them back together. That seemed like it was more than a coincidence, right? They
No, it's
took it as a
because they-
sign.
See,
So
it's a
let
forced
me
algorithm.
blow your
so.
mind for a second, though. Or your mind is easily blown.
Yeah.
That's what it
It's
is.
already blown.
Yeah, 2 + 2 is 5. The simulation that we saw that there were 1,000 of, you have to imagine that it actually ran that with everyone in their system.
Well, I think in this case, this system was purely designed for Frank and Amy. I don't think there was other couplings that were being tested
'cause
throughout.
No, it's a dating service, so they do it for everyone who wants to be involved in it.
But in this version of the system whatever, A, it's just these two. And then within this whole universe, it's just being
So
forced to
imagine
put them together.
System B is Frank being tested out with Chandru, and Chandru.
How is that the
and,
name?
And Frank.
That you came up with?
I'm trying to be gender even.
Mandrew and Chandru, yeah.
Chandru and Frank. They only have success 565 times out of 1,000.
Yeah.
So they're not as good a match as him and Amy. So I think it actually is like, no, whichever one we run, it's the one that gets the 998 times. That's the only one that we actually will recommend.
Explore.
them
I
to
think
get
that's what it
together.
is too. I think it's like with like Tinder matches. If you guys have ever like just dated through an app, it's like you get paired with people, but this app is like, let's see if it actually would work. And like 998 times you wanted to rebel. And I think it goes a little deeper because you could see that they're both like punk kids. And so it's like they wanted to rebel. They want to rebel the system. They want to run away together and they want to fall in love, Romeo and Juliet, all that kind of stuff.
They're
So
made
it's
for
like,
each other.
exactly. That's
That's
what I
an
felt like.
interesting question.
Yeah.
Is the way to succeed 998 times that you have to break the system? Could it be that like,
They
oh,
get
these two
married.
lumps on a hill, like both, neither ever wants to break the system 998 times, so they're perfect
and
for
they're
each other.
content.
Yeah.
I
And don't
think
take
that's
me
what
out.
it is. Yeah.
Well, I think in that case, the only universe those two simulations know is encouraging them to rebel. So it's like the path.
I just
that's
think you should
being
be
laid
in
out
love.
for them is- It
That's
could just
all.
be love.
Maybe you
And
just need a
that's
little bit
probably how
more
we
love
should
in
read
your
it.
life. When was the last time you had a hug?
Eric,
A hug?
You two
when's the
should
last
hug.
time you had a
Nothing.
hug?
What is this? What is it?
Define hog, please.
I've never owned one. I've never
So
lived on a
speaking
farm.
of twisting things to see, is there a dark side? The USS Callister ending, I think we all kind of were like, hey, this is kind of a pretty positive end. But I have to ask, did you guys notice that Jimmy Simpson's character was no longer there
Right.
at the end? So we saw him, he went and was going to
He
burn
really did sacrifice
theoretically
himself.
for
The thrusters.
eternity.
Yeah.
What do we think happened to his character? And it's worth pointing out that you want these characters to succeed, but he actually starts out as the villain of the episode, and in a way created the whole reason for. Somebody else called him Fat Damon.
Jesse Plemons.
I'm not taking credit for it, but I'm just blanking his name. But created the whole
Jesse
reason for him.
Plemons.
Yes,
Jesse
Plemons
Plemons.
Daily, I
Jesse
think is the name of the
Plemons
episode.
to create the place to torture people. Essentially,
Yeah.
it's his fault that it needed to be created. Of course,
Right.
that's like kind of victim blaming in
It
a way.
is definitely because
But
it's like
who
people
deserves
get
that?
bullied.
No one deserves that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people
But
get bullied. You should do this.
my point is more that character maybe didn't feel like he needed the same kind of redemption as everyone else. So I'm wondering what you guys think what ended up happening though.
Okay, so here's what happened. Obviously, the female who was inserted into the ship last, she's a hacker. She really is a good hacker. She admired him. She knows how his works. She knows coding. She's obviously gone in and shut off the eternal burning.
Yeah, and it did
modulation.
seem like
that's a good
the way that the lights were kind of going out on that whole universe would have included the eternal burning
Yeah.
too.
Jimmy Simpson actually did an interview that I read, and he posted some theories, and he said, well, really, I don't like looking at it as a redemption arc where, we have to think of this guy finally got his release. For all we know, like in this universe, he's just Adam screaming in space through eternity, and I'm okay with it.
I think that once they got to the main game, they could die. Like this is free range. They can live. They can die now. They don't have to keep living this torturous life over and over again. That's why they reset. That's why the monster and the villain got to be normal people again. I think either he got blown out of the ship and he was floating around in the void where Jesse died, where his brain got deleted, and so he got to die as well, or he did get to die when the flame went through and they got through the portal and he eventually just died on the other side. I think he's gone. I think he's...
Yeah.
I want him to be dead because I don't want him to be alive and living
So
through
hold on,
whatever
what
it
happened
is.
to the simulation or the second version of him in the workplace, the one that was active day in, day out?
Normal
everyone's
people, they're
copies.
fine. They're
Right, because
they're unaffected.
he's unaware of what's happened. He thinks that his CTO just went comatose, right?
all of them will be
Oh,
unaware
sure.
of what happened, because that game got deleted.
Well,
so,
here's actually something. Not to get too, I actually don't like breaking things down to this level, but
Here we go.
did you notice that if they're out in the real world now, in the real gaming universe, and they're interacting with meth dealers and stuff very easily now, she could actually call herself and explain hey, you know how you got a phone call? Well, first of all, hi, this is your
Hi.
voice calling
Yes.
you.
Me.
But also, you know how you got a phone call telling you to go do that stuff at that apartment? That was because of all of this. And she could tell the whole story
Yeah.
to herself. And I would believe myself if I heard my own voice.
Except for then you're like, wait, that's not how cloning works. And then that's the
Right, but
But
then
it's, I know what
you
you're
have to let
thinking.
go
That's
of
not how
that.
cloning
Yeah,
works
that-
because
yeah.
I'm you. So I know what you're
Yeah.
thinking.
That's not how it works.
My
Everyone
gosh,
knows that.
what would
yeah.
you say if you actually did, if you're on
Get
the
a
phone
phone
to
call from yourself?
Yeah, what would you say to yourself to confirm and make that person believe that it was really you?
I would do the
I
thing.
mean, they did a good job.
I would do the thing that she did where it's like, I know the thing.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I know you're dark.
Just say, I know.
I
hang
know.
up, like,
Yeah, exactly.
he knows.
I tried to
Undo
delete you
your
at that
childhood
point.
bed.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so USS Callister was your favorite episode.
Yeah, I thought it was one of the best feelings that... Okay, so for me, I think that cinema, film, TV, whatever, is a lot about your first viewing. And so I'm not hugely apologetic about stuff where it's like, well, on the second viewing or the third viewing, I'm kind of like, no, I think it needed to work on the first.
Yeah.
That's the one where on the first viewing, it put me through all the things that I want a great Black Mirror episode to do. It made me think about the themes on display, about what a man thinks a woman's purpose is, but also the way that we get these people that snap and they become active shooters and whatnot. Like, it had all of that to it. It had a really interesting technological element to it, and had a great twist that I was just like, oh, haven't seen this before. And I love feeling that I haven't seen this before.
There's a little continuity error that I was having trouble with. Like, when she tried to run away, as soon as she appeared, she got teleported back into the cockpit or whatever. He had to take a random jump ship, make it work, and then fly after them at normal speed. Why couldn't he just teleport. He's God. Like, he can do whatever he wants. It's a little bit of a flaw.
It
He
is-
can literally do anything.
What the best example of what you're saying? Because I think the response would be like, well, he programmed it. If any of the people go to the edge, they get teleported back,
Oh,
and he
it's a
did not
respawn.
program his current things. But then he wouldn't have been able to do this move.
Yeah.
Right,
He
yeah.
was doing Star Trek X-Men type stuff
Oh, that
to
was-
people. Yeah.
Oh, that was really hard to watch, by the way, when all of her face was removed. Like,
She couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
I honestly, so I was like, oh my god, for eternity, and then I was like, oh, I'd probably like be like, I get it. Like I'd stop. You know what I mean? I'd be like, I'm gonna stop trying to breathe. I don't need to breathe anymore.
Yeah, this is kind of an
Wow.
illusion. The whole thing, even drinking alcohol is an illusion. Best joke is when Jimmy pulls down his pants. And he's like just
Yeah.
pounding himself.
Bongo.
And so, like, and he had like the best one-liners and the way he deliver his
Yeah.
monologues and
Very
everything.
funny that episode,
Yes,
yeah.
and
It's
it's so genuine the way he performs it. There was one other thing that I thought it would be like full Black Mirror, that as soon as they got free, they're like, we're gonna make it, and then immediately like they don't want to trade, and Aaron Paul like shoots him, and then end
Destroys
episode,
him.
and it's
Yeah.
just like,
Great cameo.
because also it's like, what do they do now? What do they possibly do in this world?
Yeah.
Like, do they tell people? Can they get out? Like,
What's the win?
But honestly,
Yeah.
you know what? I think he might have picked just the more interesting end. It's more interesting to think about what will they do now than like, oh, but you never can win kind of
Yeah.
thing. It's similar to the story of Paranormal Activity. When the first film was made, it was an independent film. Guy essentially had just been like, oh, I had this idea and I made this horror, and it had this really dark ending where essentially everyone's dead, including his wife who gets possessed.
No.
And Spielberg became involved in order to do wider distribution.
Wow.
And essentially was all he did. He's like, the movie's perfect. Change the end, not just because it's so dark, but because we need to wonder what's next to build
We
a franchise
need
and all
sequels.
those things.
Yeah.
Lots
Yeah,
and lots
essentially.
of
hey, it
sequels.
made 7 movies, 6 movies, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
I
Yeah.
it's-
also think the ending is the thematically in tune ending. Like if you look at the episode
this, or we're talking about
for
Paranormal.
this
Sorry.
episode,
Good.
yeah, and for Paranormal. No, if you look at the episode as a commentary on like gamer culture and sexism, the fact that they now have to live in a reality where there's just going to be a constant barrage of trolls who are just talking shit to them constantly. That's kind of, in a way, a sort of bleak ending that they tried to escape from this one guy imprisoning them in his own, like, really terrible fantasy. And now they're kind of still going to have to deal with these other types of guys.
Yeah, they're just not
constantly.
controlling him like a god, but they still have like, what if like a kid just wants to go around and start shooting other ships for no reason? Because like people definitely do that, where they'll whatever, you're at like 100 and something levels or whatever, and they nerf you and you're back down to, I'm using all the wrong terms,
And
but
then you go and
basically,
you camp them.
yeah,
Yeah.
camp camping, yeah,
Yeah, camp
that's the
camp
thing.
camp.
My favorite episode was Metalhead. What do you guys think?
Really?
Yeah,
Who's your favorite?
favorite. Yeah,
Because it's
favorite.
black and white.
Yeah, because black and white, and I didn't. I
That
turned off the
style.
volume and just stared at it. Actually,
Yeah.
I could watch
Colors
it without
hurt
the
me.
volume.
Really
There's no
could.
dialogue. No, I loved it, and even rewatching, I loved it even more. I love the design of the dog. I love the simplicity of
Ibo,
the
basically.
episode.
Do you guys remember Ibo, the robot dog?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
couldn't.
yeah.
I begged for that for like 10 years. And
It doesn't
Yeah.
really do anything,
10
does
years?
it? That dog.
I was obsessed with every Ibo generation. I never go.
Yeah.
Do you know what it reminded me of, though? That first feeling when you were watching Terminator, where you're like, wow, there is an indestructible thing that is
The
so
relentless force.
powerful
Yeah.
that will chase you to like the extreme ends of the world.
Yeah,
You watch them get stronger and stronger almost. Well, this one kind of it goes a little bit weaker. But like this girl, she is broken. Woman, she's broken. She's lost all of her friends, the mission. She's like literally rock bottom, and this thing just keeps coming after her.
I love a good Western chase scene, the way like Mad Max Fury
Or it's like
Road,
Anton Chigurh
or
kind of
yeah,
thing,
right.
yeah.
No Country for Old Men. This bleak landscape, and there's just one impossible force, and it's just a chase. It's it's cat and mouse, just trying to come up with clever ways
I love
to
that
throw off the scent.
Mad Max is literally just they drove and they turned around
It's
and
so
they
linear,
drove back.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so simple.
My question for you, I think it's a really great thriller. What do you think it's trying to say or about technology?
Okay, so it has that same kind of idea of some implied backstory, right? Of humans
Kinda.
created too efficient of weapons that ended up overtaking them. I didn't need more than that. It reminds me of like a good, some of my favorite zombie stories where there's just a small, almost dumb mission. There was a really great episode of Walking Dead where they go into some really dumb mission just to get a picture of Carl's mom back from his hometown.
Because he forgot what she looked like.
Forgot what she looked like, you know. And
Carl.
there's this episode kind of ends on a similar note of why would these people go through with it? Oh, there's some things that are more important than survival, the sustaining human spirit, for example, which I know sounds a little dumb. Some of you are rolling your eyes right now. To me, it totally worked, that closing shot. Also, if you rewatch it, it wasn't just the teddy bears they were going after. There was, she said there might be other medical supplies, other useful things in that warehouse.
But teddy bear was
the teddy bear was her goal, at least.
It was the goal.
That really was the goal. I thought it was, I interpreted it completely differently. I
yeah.
thought it was
A lot of
supposed to
people
be,
did.
medical supplies. And it turns out they got the wrong box anyway.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's a lot
that's
of
so much
debate
bleaker.
there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Black
that's
Mirror,
so
guys.
bleak.
Are you
Oh,
kidding?
wow.
Of course that's what happened.
I guess I could see
think,
that interpretation.
I see why
Sorry.
people go that
Oh, yeah.
way. My opinion would be that it was a teddy bear because that's the reason from the writing perspective that they were vague about it anyway. Was we don't want the audience to know that what she means is it's going to make this child feel better to have. And she said she called it a replacement, which I think
that's
he
right.
probably had a teddy bear that was like meant a lot to him, and then maybe
One of those dogs just shot it.
yeah, just shot it up.
And a lot of the elements of the episode were fun. The black and white, I was like, okay, this is kind of feeling fun. Like, it's very scary. Like, the long off shot of it running, you're just like, this thing won't stop. It will never stop. It'll keep coming after you. The idea of it picking up a knife to use that as like an extra
Yeah.
weapon and just constantly spinning and getting her knee, and it's
God.
so bad.
Yeah.
But then it's just, by the end of it, I was like, a thing that I love about Black Mirror, and that could be that I'm just stuck in what I like about the show,
Sure.
and this episode did not do any of that at all. It told a way different story, and I just don't think I was in the right mindset for it. What I like about it is that they show us this new type of technology and where it could go wrong, and how you realize that people might be worse than that or something like that. Like, there's like some kind of like lesson you're playing around with. With this, it was just, straight cat and mouse. By the end of it, mouse kills itself. And like, it's not, classic story. But it's just, I was disappointed that we didn't explore the dogs more. We didn't explore who she is or what she's been going through or what the other people have been going through, how we even got to any of these like places for these characters. I didn't connect with her. I didn't connect with anything happening. Just people were dying and I didn't care by the end of it.
Sounds like you wanted it to just start earlier.
Yeah, start a little
Right,
earlier.
like where it's like, we got you a little puppy for Christmas. It's a robot puppy, and then like he's like, but it's mad at me, and then seeing the moment it happened.
Yeah, like I wanted,
Yeah.
I wanted just a little something more to make me care at all. I didn't, so
You
I
need
was
a hug,
bummed.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that
Hog.
comes down to the actress's portrayal of the character. To me, it like that radio call and the heartbreak and the
thought it was
weary exhaustion was relatable enough for me. I love a story, especially compared to Black Mirror when there's so much exposition. I liked a bit of a fresh air of just a story stripped down to its bare essential parts. But that was just me. I get why people maybe didn't like it.
Well, I feel like all we see in a lot of media now is an onslaught of hope. And this one was absolute hopelessness. And I think that
Pretty
was almost
despairing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I cared more about the characters for it to be more hopeless. It was more just like templates. It felt like templates of characters and plot points. So
you know what might have done that? Because I think I actually I'm okay with not knowing her backstory or whatnot, but a character at the least you have to know a want for them. And the episode told us that she had the most clear want in the world, right? It was get this thing and take it back to this place, right? It was so clear, but because they were also playing the game of we don't know what's in the box, it ended up, I think, neutering the feeling that, what she wants actually matters. So even though they were so clear about it, it also is like, yeah, but does it matter what's in the box?
What's in the
I don't know if
box?
it really does. Right. We've
Yeah,
seen
that was her
examples
white
of
set.
that MacGuffin used
And
before. The
that could be
briefcase
that
in
I
Pulp
just
Fiction
got caught up on what's in the box, and that's what I wanted from it. So sure. I could
Did
just-
anybody else have a different favorite episode that wasn't one of those two?
Black Museum definitely is close. It's a very close to Hang the DJ. I really enjoyed it. Like the Penn Jillette writing that opening thing with the doctor was amazing.
That was full on. That was like horror, gore. I'm not a fan.
And that one's a true
Oh, no.
story.
What?
No, I don't.
I don't even know it was like based on someone who was addicted to pain, and there are
I mean,
obviously
I bet
there are
masochists
examples
out
of that, for
there.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
No,
Being
but
addicted doctor.
I thought that was like just because I was so. It's just that shock value. It got me like that Black Mirror shock value. Like I enjoyed that for what it was. That intro little vignette. The second vignette, not so much. The final one, when they wrapped it back around, I was like, oh, okay, we're getting the Christmas episode, 3-parter, and it brings it back around. I really enjoyed that for how they handled that. I liked how they handled it here when they even mentioned like San Junipero a little bit for a second, and a couple other.
Well, and also the hospital is Saint Juniper, and San is Spanish for saint.
Yeah, we'll get to the Easter egg. This one is packed with Easter eggs. We'll have a list of all those.
The downfall for Black Museum for me was the male actor in that. I thought he was a bit of an overactor.
I thought he had just so much character. I loved, like, it was just like crazy man. I'm like, who would hire him in a hospital? Like,
he's essentially Ripley, right?
Yeah,
like Ripley's Believe It or Not, not Ripley from Aliens.
Yeah, right.
He's there. It's the same character.
Believe it or not, there's aliens. No,
but he's a showman.
Yeah, Black Museum might have been my least favorite. Well, let's pivot to like our least favorite. I think that was my least favorite. I love the Pain Addicted Doctor short story. I like the other short story that they had, and overall the episode just didn't work for me. It felt like they were trying to replicate White Christmas, the Christmas special, where they tried to work in a couple different stories, and when they kind of weave together, I started to see it coming. And just
White Christmas, the John Hamm episode.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
See, I loved that.
I like that one too. I love
most people
that
really like that.
I love that one. This one, it felt like they were trying to do it in the same way that they worked in different short stories that came together, and it just didn't work for me.
I'm going to give you my beef with the Doctor storyline. It's similar to what people's beef might be with Metalhead too, where it's kind of like, okay, follow the idea of the technology turning on us, right? The mirror turning black. We are talking about an implant that makes him feel what they're feeling, and he gets hooked to the pain because of the moment of death, and it, for some reason, he's into it. That to me felt like, oh, this happened to be implanted into a masochist who felt pain and enjoyed it. That to me is not a twist of the technology. What would have been a twist of the technology, I thought it was about to do this, was there's that moment where someone dies, and this is a true thing, that at the moment of death, synapses fire at a rate that is incomparable to any other time in your life. And I thought that is what he was going to get hooked to, where it's like, I cannot experience that feeling unless the person dies. So he'd get hooked to killing people or people dying, but instead it was the pain that they associate with it. And it's like, well, that's just a human flaw. That's not technology turning around and biting.
Yeah, I get you. But it is unleashing a beast, though, from within.
Yeah, of course, but then that's just.
I did follow it though,
like
pain and pleasure are like close in the brain, and like you can kind of like, I got that like this overstimulation caused his brain to rewire, and he started taking pain as pleasure. So I followed it up, but I do like your point of like, if they kind of fine-tuned it a little bit, and it wasn't just everything, it was killing people.
Yeah, because it seems like here's the thing with it. He could have stumbled into that problem without the technology. Right? Sure. Like, you know, when you run your nipple into a door or something.
When has that ever happened? Why does this keep happening to me?
But wait.
Well, are there any other least favorites? Any other gripes?
I think Arkangel really missed. Okay, yeah, the Crocodile. I think that was maybe Metalhead was just disappointing. Crocodile, I was like, if you restructured this, it could have been my favorite episode. Follow just the insurance agent.
Yeah,
follow her, and like she's just like following the marks, and you don't even need to know about this architect who like went through a murder, and you turn it into like cut all that out and just start with her, and you go through that, and she gets to this house, and this woman's acting weird, and you're like, well, I have no idea what the extent of this is, and then you
think it's just watching a movie.
Yeah, like you think it's that, or you think it's like. Maybe she hit somebody, like it's something. It's and then when she like starts to uncover it, you get to kind of explore it. But the way the storytelling could get really interesting is you watch it through a memory, so things don't always look right. Maybe colors are changing in the background, like when they mentioned that the coat is changing color.
Green to yellow.
But like, so go into that. Don't watch it on this little tiny screen. Like, go into it, and memories are fluid. Like, sure, the murder's happening, but like maybe the face is changing, the blood's like changing.
In Inception, like restructure it.
I was just actually, funny enough, Memento.
Oh yeah,
is essentially what you want it to be.
Yeah,
same person.
It would have been really cool, and like you could have her go crazy if you want. But killing the baby, I was just like, okay.
That felt like so bleak.
Yeah.
Do you know what it needed for me? It wasn't obvious enough that she is fearful of the technology finding her out. It just sounded, it kind of for me just seemed like it was snowballing until it was literally a snowball of death.
Yeah.
But if you're right, if we started with the technology and the technology was the focal point, and it was this moment where she's like, all right, I've done it. Oh my gosh, there was a witness and it's a baby, but this technology will be able to, like, for me, it just seemed like, well, I've killed everyone else. I'll just,
might as well.
And for me, it was like, well, she's a mum and now she's realizing this baby, you maybe left there for a little bit too long. So it was almost with mercy that she ended her life, but it wasn't about the technology enough
I agree.
for it to be in like that choice made. Yeah.
I get that. You know what's crazy to me is that as the gerbil moment is happening, I was like in my the front of my brain, I was kind of like the gerbil, and then like the rest of my brain was like, I love it. I love that that's what brought her down. That felt like Black Mirror to me. Where it's just like you cannot predict the extent to which the technology is going to get.
I just didn't buy her going this crazy. I know that's what they set her up to be, but I was just like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
like,
just
what are
stop.
you doing at this point? Like, you think you're getting away? It's like, no, now you're just doing it cause. Like,
that's what I mean.
Yeah. And in Arkangel, I felt like they kind of missed the mark a little bit. Like, wouldn't it have been more interesting if she stayed like blind to like a lot of the like harder things in life? And as an adult, we get to watch this adult actress instead of a 25-year-old playing a 15-year-old, like having sex and like doing cocaine. And then like the craziest part that's like, what is happening is the mom clearly downloads the memory of her 15-year-old daughter having sex with an older guy, then editing it on her computer and then downloading it to her phone and bringing it into the store because you watched her transfer it to the computer and then she brought her phone in. So she clearly went to like so many steps of watching her daughter have sex. And I'm like, what is happening?
There's gotta be
it's
some...
the future, Sam. iMovie is so advanced.
Probably just shared it straight. Like,
some kinds of federal laws that were being violated with it.
And then had to wait for it to charge. Well, that actually did happen though.
There's a moment where you, I did like that charging moment. Actually, I was like, that's true.
Yeah.
There's a moment that sounds like the episode probably really worked for you then. It's as a little girl when she's seeing her grandpa die and she can't see it.
Yeah.
And it's just like you're kind of saying like if we had followed that to its conclusion of like what would happen if you were never exposed to anything negative.
But it's also like playing
what would
on
that person be like?
playing on your gut instinct with fear. So it's like if she never saw the dog and doesn't understand like that kind of fear, if someone goes to mug her and goes to attack her and ends up killing her and she's got no idea because it's just a blur. You can't defend yourself against something that you can't see or acknowledge. I think that would have been great.
Like, what if you wrote a character that got hit by a car and now she's paralyzed? Could she even see the pain that was causing, like, in her own brain, the stress of, like, seeing that now she cannot walk? Like, she doesn't have that freedom anymore. Could she even see herself?
Yeah.
Like, what if you went further with that? Instead, we went with Mom going crazy, and I don't think we went far enough for, like, Crazy Mom enough.
Did she... I kind of got the impression that she wanted to grow up quite quickly because of this guy showing her YouTube videos when she was young. Like, as soon as she got the parental guidance flicked off, this guy was like, oh, you can see things now? Look at this video of this guy dying. Look at this video of porn. And that's when she, has sex for the first time. And he's like, you don't need to do that. And she's like, well, that's all I've seen. So that's what I know. Is that what that is? Like, we're learning from the internet and applying it to life?
Well, I mean, it is definitely commentary on helicopter parenting and how it doesn't actually work. When I used to tutor kids a lot, and they were so foul-mouthed and such bad kids when they were there at the tutoring center, but they were hiding that so much from their very affluent parents. So that is kind of, I think, what the episode is about, is like you can try to remove all these things, but they're kind of going to get a worse version of it and like learn like the darkest versions.
Well, we'll continue to talk about Black Mirror this episode. For now, let's move on to this week's trivia question. We're going to keep things Black Mirror themed here, it looks like. Okay, here we go. Okay, kind of long one. In the Black Mirror Christmas special, White Christmas 2014, what was the radio song that repeated at the end of the episode when the consciousness of Potter was trapped in the simulated cabin at 1,000 years per minute? Oof. And if any of us are able to get it, a bonus tiebreaker. And if Potter was left in there for 2 weeks of a Christmas break, how many years would have transpired within that imprisonment? So I guess that's just a math one. 1,000 years per minute. How many minutes in 2 weeks? Yeah, 2 weeks, 14 days. Yeah.
I literally wrote that.
And we'll reveal the answer at the end of this episode. As always, the winner will get to do that crazy thing where, and the winner as decided by our judges, because I don't think any of us will probably get this. They'll get to do our sign-off goodbyes at the end of the video, and they can do it whatever crazy voice or new character they're trying out. Meanwhile, the loser will have to read our In Other News wrap-up headlines and be hilarious on the spot and kind of cleverly riff on it and whatnot. We'll reveal that later. Everyone got their answers locked in here. Great.
Oh, what a strong start for me this year. So excited about 2018.
Moving on. We here at New Rockstars are obviously obsessed with Black Mirror, and like many of you, our paranoid, watchful eyes led us to spot a number of Easter eggs referencing past episodes in season 4. Now, if you think about it, these Easter eggs actually, some of them have some super interesting implications for the extended universe of the Black Mirror world. So let's break them all down, and I'm gonna just list through these and fly through them. But
go for it.
We're gonna actually, for all of you watching, we're gonna re-edit this segment in a separate video later, so you can get a closer look at where each of these things are. Okay, let's start with the Easter eggs that we spotted in USS Callister. Many of you spotted the voice cameo by Aaron Paul, Jesse Plemons' Breaking Bad co-star.
Nope.
No,
That was so cool.
yeah. He was the voice in the final scene, the anonymous gamer who talks shit to the crew. There was an even sneakier cameo from Kirsten Dunst. That's Plemons' real-life fiance.
Yeah.
She passed by him in the office in the background.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yeah, I didn't catch it at all the first time I watched it. Kirsten Dunst.
That's where she's been.
Sneaky. The receptionist uses the same dating app that the guy used in Playtest in season 3. That's the haunted house episode. Remember, he hooked up with that girl on the dating app. The DNA scanner device from Jesse Plemons' character was made by TCKR Systems. It's the same company that made the Afterlife software in the San Junipero episode last season. They show up a couple times.
Same hospital, yes.
And then 2 of the planets from USS Callister, Rannoch B and Scalane 4, those are the names of the killers in White Bear in season 2.
That's very cool.
And then Daily drinks from a brand of milk called Raymond, which is a nod to Raymond in Men Against Fire last season's Soldier episode. She mentioned actually that her family owned a farm, which is kind of fun. Okay, moving on quickly to Arkangel, episode 2. When the mom is considering the program at the beginning, the demo shows the troubling imagery of a soldier firing a gun, which is from Men Against Fire. That's the actual footage. I definitely caught that one. In teenage Sarah's bedroom, there's a poster for Tusk. That was the name of the rapper in Hated of the Nation, who was one of the targets at some point. As well as a poster for Harlick Shadow. That's the game, the scary game from Playtest. So I guess that game exists in this world. Now, I want to move on quickly to Crocodile. Had some of the most interesting Easter eggs, and I have a big question for you guys.
The one
about
on screen is the one I noticed.
Yeah. There's some crazy stuff that happens here. Okay, well, first, just to get out of the way, there's this episode reuses Irma Thomas's "Anyone who knows what love is will understand." You can blame me. It's so great. That was also in 15 Million Merits and White Christmas and Men Against Fire. It's kind of like they use it every season.
It's very
Is
creepy.
that the answer of the trivia?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not. Yeah,
Because I don't have that
Just
one.
spoil it right
I did
now.
not know the name of that song. Yeah.
I can't write that.
Getting to some crazy stuff here. When Mia flips through the hotel movie categories, kind of like their version of Netflix, the classics option shows a robotic bee on a flower. It's the actual thumbnail from Hated in the Nation. So she's like able to watch that story in her world, which is fun. But then within the porn options that she's flipping through, one is called Best of Wraith Babes.
Wraith Babes.
Yeah.
That was the porn that the girl ended up doing in 15 Million Merits. And the hotel clerk at that hotel references a tabloid story about the host of Hot Shot, which was the name of the American Idol, America's Got Talent, Britain's Got Talent type show, reality contest show from that episode. So, all right, let's pause here, just overthink this, because the implication is that the world of 15 Million Merits, the one with the stationary bike peddlers underground,
Daniel Kaluuya,
is the same world, the surface world of Crocodile. So I think it's safe to assume that Mia's world is powered by those poor people down below. Maybe even that smokestack that she shoved the body of her ex-boyfriend down was like exhaust from that underground power plant.
So, which is what I was thinking, that I don't know necessarily exactly if it's that power plant, but that there is a place where this thing is real, right? And it's providing energy. But what throws it off for me is when you see the graphic novel or the comic of 15 Million Merits that he's reading in the Black Museum episode. And it's like, so that also would just be a story, unless they did the meanest thing in the world where they're like, hey, you know how we have slaves down there? Let's make them into a comic.
Let's adapt one of their stories, kind of like in Logan, how they adapted those stories into comic books. I think it's possible.
But are you saying that the world in 50 Million Merits is like bigger than just that one little place? Because when he goes up, because like when he goes up to the top floor, he sees a lush forest,
right? Or is that screen projection simulations that made him think he was?
Also,
oh my goodness!
Also, well, somebody keep in mind is like, who was watching their show, right? They had an audience. They had a studio audience, and they also have people at home. So there must be like normal people out there.
Right.
Is that? I don't know.
That makes it even bleaker. You know, that these
it's
people are
also
living
the
their own
same
separate
as
lives.
Get Out. It's
Right.
the same world.
Right. Yeah. This extended universe just goes everywhere. But let us know what you
What,
think
he was
about
arrested
this.
for
It is
killing the
crazy.
family,
Yeah.
and so then was sent downstairs to cycle his
To the
juice.
cycle.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
man.
even think like if Hated in the Nation was just a story within that world, that like that's the media they watch, is this world where bees could be used as
Killers.
assassins. Anyway, it's crazy to think about. Okay, but getting back to some of these Easter eggs from Crocodile, Mia burns an article from UKN Online. That's a news agency from the very first episode. What was that called? A National Anthem. The pizza truck that the guy gets hit by is Fence's Pizza. That's the same place that Jesse Plemons orders pizza from in USS Callister.
Nice.
But
But
I
in a
guess
different
now it's
country.
evolved into automated delivery trucks. or
Even though
whatever.
Crocodile was my least favorite episode, I love that if pizza was delivered that way. You can
Yeah.
just make it in a little truck
Yeah.
and then you
It's
can pull
fun.
it out. It's real cool.
And then finally, this is probably one of the teasingest Easter eggs. If you look at the a close-up of the printout, you have to pause it. One of the paragraphs at the bottom of the article says, quote, "Of course, the real question is why anyone would pause on what they're watching just to read a sentence in a printed out newspaper article," says a voice in your head, "before advising you to go and share this finding on Reddit." So they're
Unbelievable.
just making fun of us,
Right.
which is exactly what happened. People on
Right.
Reddit were like, "Oh, they know we exist." And Hang the DJ, there wasn't a whole lot of Easter eggs. The dating app that we see is the same one that I mentioned before. I guess there's one dating app in this universe, and that's now we know how it works with simulated copies of you. In Metalhead, when Maxine goes through the drawer, there's actually a postcard from a place called San Junipero, which is pretty fun.
Actually, if you think about it, because in that playtest episode, it's like time gets extended over and over again, and like all those weird like Russian nesting dolls of like the worlds that he's
Yeah.
like dying in over and over again. So it's like that kind of makes sense.
plausible.
All that time is extended out inside the. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all invented by the same company, TCKR, which shows up in Metalhead as well. It's on the side of a truck. But it also looks like Callister, the USS Callister, that also could be the name of a company because it's written on the name of the analog screen inside the truck that the guy's trying to hack into at the beginning. That is a Callister equipment. So we'll see. Maybe these are just names of everything that they use. Okay, Black Museum, of course, packed with
Yeah,
Easter
it
eggs.
was an
everything in it.
archive,
Yeah,
yeah.
it truly was. So just to point out everything we spotted. The gas station is called BRB Connect, like Be Right Back. Be Right Back was the name of the first episode of season 2, where the guy gets
And that's
cloned.
all that BRB is known for.
Yeah, just BRB, right? I couldn't stand for anything else. Inside Rollo's museum, there's a video screen showing Victoria from White Bear, and a newsreel that shows PM Callow marries pig, reference to the first episode.
Oh, God.
At least he married it. He was good enough to marry it as well.
She was pregnant.
The shotgun pig wedding. The exhibits include Carlton Bloom's hanging from that episode. Carlton Bloom was the experimental artist who orchestrated that whole thing.
Oh yeah.
There was also a mannequin of the man with the gun who chased Victoria and White Bear in that weird white pattern on his ski mask. There was a copy of Harlech's Shadow game from Playtest. There was one of the bees from Hated in the Nation. There was Tommy's Lollipop and Ryman's Milk and the DNA scanner from USS Callister.
I know that's annoying a lot of people because didn't they rescue the lollipop from the fridge?
Oh, right.
Maybe
So-
he put it back into it to.
She came
Or maybe
Right.
she got
create
an
the
eBayed
exhibit.
it or something and sold it. Because she grabbed it, right?
Yeah. So there's
Yeah.
no way that anyone should really have
I'll say I'll
it.
kind
Maybe
of.
it's like a recreation of it.
Well, I'll kind of buy that the way that that character was played. A lot of these things probably aren't legit.
Yeah. It's totally possible.
Yeah.
There's also the shattered tablet screen from Arkangel. We got a good close up of that, and the bloody bathtub from Crocodile.
Yep.
And even though this is weird because they said all the things were like crime related, there were the dresses worn by Yorkie and Kelly and San Junipero, like their dresses. It didn't seem like any crimes were going on in that episode, but whatever.
Also, they got the fake dresses out of the.
Right, or maybe they were based on these, or who knows. And then, meanwhile, within the flashback stories, Rollo's lab rats are named Kenny and Hector. Those are the names of the experimental lab rat characters in Shut Up and Dance. That was the webcam blackmail episode.
Oh, I didn't know
lab
that
ratting, yeah.
one. I didn't know that one.
The hospital, you mentioned this before, that Rollo worked at was called St. Juniper's, which may have inspired Rollo to call his virtual paradise San Junipero when he went on to work for TCKR. And then, you also mentioned this. The graphic novel that he reads is The Story of 15 Million Merits. Now, to me in Black Mirror, or Black Museum, the seeing this episode connect pretty much all the episodes prior made me think that this could be like one own meta dimension where Rollo is like kind of a devil figure. He's profiting from all the world's technological evils.
Sinful things. Is that what it is?
Is that
no? But that's it. Kind of seems like that idea of like, come into my shop and I have all of these.
Oh yeah,
needful things. I think maybe.
Oh and Rick and Morty, is that the?
Well, it's a Stephen King story.
Oh right, but it was made fun of
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like that idea, and some people were saying that some of the other exhibits in the background might have been like future episodes that we haven't seen yet.
That'd be very clever.
That's cool.
Are we gonna get another season?
Nah. No, I think there likely will be one.
Yay.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like the theory. It's a fun one. Rollo definitely has the charisma of like a devil character. I liked hearing him speak. He did speak a lot throughout that entire episode. I would have liked to hear the female lead like a little bit more. I did like her a lot.
I wonder if her accent couldn't hold up over time or something.
But that's the thing. It's like it kind of wrecked the twist because she's like, "Oh, you're wondering why my accent changed?" I'm like, "Your accent? When did that happen? Like you said 9 words. How are they even knowing?" Yeah. So.
Okay, well, those are all the things that we were able to spot in Black Mirror. We'd love to, go through and rewatch and find all the other connections because Black Mirror is just laden with Easter eggs. But let us know what other, because we did a breakdown of Hang the DJ, and let us know if there's any other questions you have about this that you'd want to see us take on in a video.
And let us know if you have any shared universe theories of exactly how the Black Mirror universe works.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Beat for beat.
Okay, let's move on to another interesting story that came up recently, one that we'll look at by the numbers. Now, the number I am interested in is 1.1 billion.
Ooh.
That is how many dollars Star Wars The Last Jedi has made over 3 weeks of screening in theaters worldwide. It was the most profitable movie of 2017. It's running just behind The Force Awakens. Doing pretty well.
No way.
Just behind. The reason I bring this up, guys, is despite this huge success, the audience reaction was a bit more mixed, and in the days following the movie's release, some geniuses began to point fingers to explain some reasons behind this disappointment. Take The Hollywood Reporter, for example, who last month
Are you familiar with it?
fan theories on YouTube, calling new Rockstars out by name. And just to quote them, here's what they said about us. We actually have the article up that we can show on the screen behind us.
The channel warns every time that they're... No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
Okay. Yeah. The channel warns every time there may be spoilers because they make guesses as to what will happen in the film based off of the trailer in previous films. If they guess right, any surprise is ruined. If they guess wrong, and their guess was well received by the viewer, there is disappointment when the film doesn't deliver. Seems like a no-win situation, which would likely result in a disappointing movie-going experience.
Well done, boys. That's really well. That's
I mean, you made it.
fantastic.
New
Enemies is
Rockstars
good
ruin
news.
Rockstars
We
and
broke
Star Wars. Sorry.
That's such a feat. Just you guys.
Yeah, look at us.
Billion-dollar,
David
multi-billion
and
dollar
Goliath,
franchise.
right? Okay.
It would have been 1.2 billion, but
Yeah, I know.
we had to
Wow,
get it.
you really
Yeah.
chiseled
I
off
didn't
a
watch
few
it
of
a
those
second
views.
time. Yeah.
I have my own thoughts on this.
I
What do you
wouldn't
guys
mind
think?
it,
And maybe we can take this criticism. Like, does any great responsibility come with our great predicting power? Right?
Well, real quick, I'll say that's not what people had issues with Star Wars.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, New Rockstars' theory about...
Are you saying that people shouldn't talk about movies before they come out and think about how they
Right.
could possibly go?
Right.
And he's like, no, you should see the trailer, turn your brain off, wait months, sit down and watch. No.
That's what a lot of people do,
Right.
though. A lot of people are wanting
But
to do that,
it's
to have like
Star
a...
Wars, though. I mean,
I think
you gotta
there's-
talk about with
there's
your
two
friends.
extremes. You don't want anything to do with it, and you want to go in completely pure and clean and make your own mind up, or you want to explore every
Right.
single option out there.
And that person probably that wanted to go pure and clean didn't go watch a New Rockstars video. You know, so
Yeah,
they didn't get
that's it.
spoiled. I'll say you got to remember also our boy J.J. Abrams set up a lot of questions that felt like they would have huge answers. So I would kind of
Yeah.
talk to those two directors about like it feels like this handoff didn't exactly
Yeah.
go with the baton perfectly being passed on.
I laugh at this because I think if you guys watched all of our Star Wars videos, most of our predictions didn't really cover the things that people were griping about, like Rey's parentage and Luke's past relationship with Kylo. I mean, we touched on it, but like we didn't make any big bold predictions that people were either excited. We didn't raise any
We
expectations.
focused
there.
on Kylo Ren's hairstyle.
Hairstyle.
Kylo Ren's
Honestly,
scar.
I looked back. My biggest, craziest predictions were Luke Skywalker has amnesia, and that Kylo Ren ignited the lightsaber, which I didn't come with that theory. I just regurgitated it. That Kylo Ren ignited the lightsaber, not Han. Which, if those were true, people would have been super pissed. I don't think anyone really took those seriously.
You didn't predict the nipples?
No,
Kylo Ren's shirtless scene?
How did I?
You
miss
could see that coming from miles
I had
away.
premonitions for months about that shot.
No,
I
especially
know.
that weird seal thing that Luke's just...
A door.
Oh, yeah.
Stop it. Luke, don't
How do you
that.
think blue milk works, Sam?
Not out of it.
That's how it works. How do you think you get normal milk?
That was terrible.
There's not a man sitting down there just
That's enough.
Never been on a farm, this guy.
We don't need to see
You're
your
right.
Okay, so here's the thing, though. Even though we're being pretty defensive right now, I actually will say, and I'm going to totally throw myself out there, diving in too deep into films can ruin the twists when they do happen. That I actually think is a valid point of... I'll specifically talk about a feeling I had in Game of Thrones, not this past season, but the season before. I thought it was masterful the way that have we come up with a name for it? The Sept explosion?
The green trial.
The green trial or something like that. That it was being foreshadowed the whole season long, including the way that the fire would travel and even the color green. A lot of these things were there. And I didn't want to necessarily catch that, but I couldn't help it. And so I felt like for like 4 episodes or something, I was like, the Sept's going to blow. And I feel like it was so amazing that it still hit, pretty high on my meter of excitement and like the wow factor at the moment. But I do got to wonder, what if I hadn't seen that coming?
Right. And I think I totally agree. And that happened with the wall coming down in Game of Thrones last season. I think if you can go down too far that rabbit hole if you start trying to predict everything that happens in the story. And I think we've had this conversation before when we're doing breakdowns. Like, how much do we want to lay out the exact, what we think the plot structure will be scene to scene? Do people really care about that? They kind of want it that when they go see the movie, but I think it's more fun with our videos when we just go into really out there theories
What
that
if?
have some what if scenarios, or the point of a fan theory is to say there's some loose evidence that when you connect it, kind of presents an interesting possibility that probably isn't true.
Yeah, it's worth noting, people don't know this, that there have been times where we've had discussions and we've decided, let's not bring this one up. If it's true, we'll just have ruined people's experience with this. So we just leave that out.
But I mean, you have to also have credit for those moments where you're like, guys, what about? And then you get to relay that what if moment, which does make sense, and minds are blown. Like, that is a really rewarding thing.
We did do that
in
with
itself.
the wall coming down. I think right after season 6 ended, I said, I think season 7 final shot's gonna be the wall coming down, and I took all credit for it. And when we did our season 8 predictions, but then I'm like, well, here are all the other things I predicted that were Arya's gonna die. So I think it goes both ways.
And it's that's the curse of being an attentive viewer, right? Like we got a lot of credit for predicting that Doomsday would be in Batman v Superman, like from the very first trailer. It was like, I think that's gonna be Doomsday. I think that's gonna be Zod that they brought back, whatever. And people are like, wow, you totally predicted that. And it's like, honestly, like, they kind of want you to start thinking about those things by the way they cut the trailer.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I agree that I definitely would go down rabbit holes and I want to read up on what's going to happen. I think I learned my lesson with Avengers: Age of Ultron because I was like, I'm so excited. That movie it really let me down and I was really excited about it. But I learned really early on that Quicksilver is going to die. Like, people were predicting all this stuff and I'm like, I shouldn't have read that. Like, I now know a limit of how far which ones I want to read, but also that's not on them for making that that guess. It's on me
Rockstars.
for choosing. It's on you guys. No, it's on me for reading it. So while there are truths here, but also people make choices to watch these kinds of things and join in the conversation.
This is exactly what Disney wants. Like, this whole conversation is we're part of the game.
If they can rule the news,
what we're gonna do with these trailers when they release it. They know, they want people to talk about it. They want the fans to break it apart because they know people have choices, and if they don't want to know anything, they don't have to watch our videos.
And one final thing I'll add is that what we try to do is we try to enhance the joy that you feel when you're discussing these properties and give you more fodder to get excited about and get giddy about. And The Hollywood Reporter has some of that, and then it has a lot of things that are specifically meant to make people feel bad about Hollywood and the things that people love a lot. And I think in fact, even us trying to make us feel a little bad about something. It's like, if your business is in trying to make people feel bad or feel good, I'm gonna pick the feel good one. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Or especially if one of them is representing where things are going in the future, and one is a dying medium who's just trying to point the finger at millennials. Yeah, I did it. I called it. That's journalism major.
They
whatever.
have a website.
All right, let's move on, guys, to our Need to Know lightning round. Ooh. You guys tweeted us some questions. I'm gonna fire them at my co-hosts, who have to answer them as quickly and without hesitation as possible.
Hell yeah.
Are we ready? Maude.
Hey.
At the
Hi.
awesome Iron P asks, what was the first nerdy thing you got really into and passionate about?
Oh my goodness. Computer games on an MS-DOS system. Yeah, circa
Mavis Beacon?
1992
And-
before.
And she's talking floppy.
Yeah,
And you
floppy
have to
disk,
put it,
yeah.
and not like a 3.5 inch, the 5.4
Yes.
inch or whatever
Yeah.
it was. Yeah.
Yeah,
takes you
1991, 92, yeah.
Nice.
But Wolfenstein was a little bit after that. So
Man,
that's
weren't
cool.
you like -6?
I was definitely not born.
Yeah. At the time that I was obsessed with Wolfenstein.
Ooh, the thunderclouds are coming in. Lightning strikes there. Okay, Sam, Momo, our good buddy Momo, wants to know, would you want the Force or the Infinity Gauntlet?
Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh my, I'm going to throw
That
something.
includes
Are you
the
saying?
Force.
Yes, exactly. I could make any world I want. I could do whatever I want with that. I could control any brain, any soul, any reality, any space,
a lot of control, though.
and any time.
You
Yeah.
A lot
could
of
go get the Force if you have the Infinity
No.
Gauntlet.
That's true. You could
Power.
cross realities, cross
Yeah.
cinematic universes. Yeah.
You okay?
I can do whatever I want.
That's him trying to win an argument.
I point to Eric. I go, you figured it out.
So use your words.
Philip. At
Wow.
Joel Kramer 13 asks, ooh, this is a toughie. What's the motto for 2018?
Ooh.
New Rockstars news.
Yeah. Feel good about the things you like and share them with more people.
No nipples caught in doorways.
Yeah.
That's the.
Why are you trying to ruin my 2018? But no, but what I mean by that is like there's been a lot of like people there's a lot of like shame about the thing you like. Like, did you like this new Star Wars? You did. You're an idiot.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
let people like what they
Yeah.
like, and if there's something you like, tell other people about it because it's fun to share.
That's agreed. Okay, and for me, at Carol BDC Diva asks, what was your favorite music from Game of Thrones, The Last Jedi, and Justice League, and why? Oh, that's a multi-part question. Let's see.
okay.
Game
You
of
can't be
Thrones.
surprised when this is in your handwriting.
But,
Oh wow!
what do you mean? I write in Times New Roman. I don't know.
And I also know
Yeah.
you use the Twitter handle Carol BDC Diva.
That's true. Okay, so Game of Thrones, Light of the Seven, I think. Yeah, the season 6 finale. We did a whole breakdown of that. Phil did a good job with that. The Last Jedi. Let's see. I don't know if it's from specifically Last Jedi. I just love John Williams' Kylo Ren theme. I think it's amazing and
What's
despairing.
that one?
And, bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna.
I
I'm
just
not
say-
a
We're
horn.
good.
I'm not a
Don't
French
be
horn.
too accurate. We'll get a copyright strike.
Yeah. So I just love how like you feel his sense of loss and his innocence being taken away. In Light of the Seven, I just love how piano was used as the first Game of Thrones song that used a modern instrument. And then for Justice League, I love Danny Elfman's theme for The Flash. It had this like cool kind of like
Like
dream
that, like
sound.
it kinda-
Like time was being slowed down
like
and
this.
Yeah. and
Wow,
it's
that's
beautiful.
exactly what it sounded like.
Like this.
Yeah,
Okay. So,
you can hear it now.
Thank you for all of you for submitting your lightning round questions. Keep an eye out for our tweet next time if you want to submit your question to us. But now comes the time for our 15-second shout out, where each of us has 15 seconds to shout out, plug, or ramble about anything we want. I say, Sam, why don't we start? Why don't we start with Maude?
Yes.
Oh, I'm starting to watch Grey's Anatomy from the very beginning because I hate
Shondaland.
myself.
There are 14 seasons
I'm-
of that show.
I needed a
23
challenge.
episodes per.
14 seasons of Grey's Anatomy, and so Shonda
Yeah.
Rhimes, who's a hit maker, she has
Sister
Scandal,
of
How to
Buster.
Get Away with Murder, all these things. Oh, yeah. Grey's Anatomy is still the top show. of all of
Wowie. You know what?
those.
Shout out to Skyrim. I'm playing the updated edition of 4K on Xbox One, and I would have sunk about 50 hours into it over a week's break. But that's cool.
Right? Philip.
Oh man, mine's gonna be so dorky, but I didn't pre-plan one, so it's just what I've been up to lately. Shout out to biggerpockets.com. It'll teach you about real estate investing.
Ooh.
Wow, you become an adult. You just became an adult. all of a
I
sudden.
Yeah.
did decide.
Did you dab?
there's some things-
Yes, I did. Of course I did.
Have you ever invested in real estate? You got
You
it.
got it.
I don't dab.
It's
I
fun to
tried it
dab.
once. I failed.
It's fun. Oh yes, you did.
My 15-second shout out is on New Year's Eve. Deadmau5 the DJ did a concert where Rick and Morty came and crashed it on the big screens, and they diffused what they thought was a bomb, but it was just the countdown, and it was super fun. Go find it on YouTube. It's super funny, and it was only for that audience.
That's great.
Yeah.
And on
That's
the
the
YouTube
slowest.
audience.
And now
Second
us.
Happy on Sci-Fi, starring Christopher
already done
Maloney.
Happy.
I'm doing it again because it's the show. I don't know why people are not. I'm excited about the show. It's Patton Oswalt, Christopher Maloney. He is a hitman that's like an alcoholic and he's just disgusting. He's a horrible person, but he's an imaginary friend of a little girl who got kidnapped is trying to get him to go find the girl. But the imaginary friend is played by Patton Oswalt, and it has the mind of a child, so it can't like figure out, and so it can't figure out, can't remember where the girl is, and like the imaginary friend has to see all these violent things happen, and like it just, you see its innocence going away throughout the show. It's so funny. If you like violence, go check it out.
What's it on?
Sci-fi.
It's a dream he had.
Just get one of those black.
That's what I'm into this week.
Check it out.
2018 goals would be more happy. So
Here's this.
Well, let's finally return to the trivia question that we asked earlier in this great Black Mirror episode.
I think I did pretty good, everybody.
Mine and you read Sam's. Okay, so just to remind you guys of the question, the Black Mirror Christmas special, White Christmas. What was the radio song that repeated at the end of the episode when the consciousness of Potter was trapped in the simulated cabin for 1,000 years per minute? And then how many years would that be in his time for a bonus?
Sam thinks the song is "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas." What's the other song?
Eric thinks that the song that plays is the Alvin and the Chipmunks version of the Hula Hoop Xmas song. Hula Hoop.
1,000 years in a minute of that.
Yeah. Maude says, "I'm dreaming of a white Christmas." That'd be a pretty good guess because it is White Christmas. Listening to that. And then
Filup wrote Bing Crosby, "I'm dreaming of a white Christmas"
Okay,
as well, or Darude Sandstorm.
I'd love 1,000 years a minute of that. Okay, the answer is "I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day" by Wizard.
Well, no.
I thought that song was by Horatio Sands. I remember it's like, "I wish it was Christmas today."
Time is near.
How does that one go?
I don't really know that
Wizard.
goes. It's some Christmas song. And by the way, the amount of years that would have transpired in his time.
Sam thinks it's 2 million.
Eric thinks it's 5 million.
Maude says, "Don't make me maths."
And then Filup didn't write
Darude Sandstorm.
Darude Sandstorm.
The answer,
measure
guys,
time.
is 20,160,000 years. That's like a Cretaceous period, right? Like that's super long.
He's
That's
evolved.
crazy. Yeah.
It's 20 million years. It doesn't make it easier to understand by saying it's like the Cretaceous period.
Yeah.
You know,
Dinosaurs are
you guys have like
Geologists
grasp of what that
There are
is.
still crocodiles, which is why we had crocodile.
Now the episode
I didn't
title
say why I
makes
thought it
sense.
was crocodile. Crocodile.
Oh, yeah.
You just Google it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the winner, who do they tie?
We did get it.
You think I'm dreaming of a white Christmas might be closest?
Oh.
I agree.
And we
Okay,
both said that. So then what, did either of us get close to the math? Neither of us did the math.
And then the loser.
What did I write? I wrote
2 million and
then
Eric
Have
wrote
Yourself a
5
Merry
million.
Little Christmas.
And well, you said
And I
Alvin and
wrote
the
Hula Hoop
Chipmunks.
song.
Yeah.
Ooh, Alvin and the
Eric
Chipmunks.
all right, I
wrote-
lost. Okay, I've never lost before.
Okay, not on this, maybe.
No, I'm a winner. The winner will do our goodbyes, our winners in this case, and you can make fun of our names and Twitter handles. You can do whatever team up voice character you want to do, and then I'm gonna have to do the another news headlines that we didn't have time for. I'm gonna have to read them. At the end of each headline, I'm gonna have to make a joke.
yeah, have fun with that.
God,
I know
I've
what
never
that
had
feels
this
like.
before. All right. Well, here I go. Okay, Kendrick Lamar is producing the album for Black Panther, and he released the single "All the Stars" this week. Meanwhile, regardless of how good the movie is, all the stars will probably sing praises of this movie so that they're on the right side of history. But I think it'll be great. Yeah.
Got him.
Ooh, yeah, got him. Okay.
Did you dab again?
Next up, Game of Thrones and Rick
Exterior.
and Morty each confirmed this week that their next seasons will not air until 2019. But that won't stop new Rockstars for ruining these for fans, right, Hollywood Reporter? Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Number 3, Netflix will no longer be streaming all the seasons of Lost, the rights to which have now transferred over to Hulu.
Hulu?
Yeah. Well, I think that it'll be on the people of Hulu to be disappointed and confused by the missed opportunities.
Wow,
of
that
show.
whole thing was just lost.
Yeah,
Netflix
that's
lost
That's
this
good.
one.
I love Lost. I love it. I love the show. Okay, Hulu also announced that it is renewing 90s animated series The Animaniacs for 2 new seasons.
Wow.
Because we're so creatively bankrupt that only by looking backwards can we move forwards in this industry.
That's not funny. That's just just true.
It's just yeah,
Painfully
sad.
true. Ouch, ouch.
True. And then number 5, after a man under the influence of painkillers from his wisdom teeth surgery went viral for freaking out over missing Deadpool 2, Ryan Reynolds has invited him to the movie's premiere.
Ryan Reynolds is like the best guy in the world.
Yeah.
But make fun of him. Make him hurt.
He's 41. There you go. Ryan Reynolds.
Closer to death.
Oh no!
Not a good joke at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
No,
Wait,
Sam.
any
don't.
of us-
All the specifics of the
die?
thing are depressing things. Painkillers and doing a nice thing for a fan. There's nothing to make fun of there.
Hopefully, he
He'll need-
doesn't turn out to be that racist kid from Valley.
Oh, right,
the
yeah.
South.
Yeah. Right.
Zinger.
I don't- was the kid racist or the mom racist?
No, the mom's racist.
Yeah. Well,
We're all racist.
a little bit. Black Mirror.
We're all racist.
Pretty poor job. I need to start winning more. All right. You guys want to take
think
away our
you've won
goodbyes?
enough.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching this week's episode of what's her name? Fox and Friends. Newsy, the Newsies and the Rockstars.
New Rockstars news.
There you go. I want to thank our hosts, a grown baby.
He's got a
and-
beard.
No, I'm talking about both of them. They are both
They
grown
both got
babies.
beards.
Beard
babies.
Sham Basshole.
Damn, asshole.
That's a good one. That's going to be my Halloween
There
Twitter
you go.
handle.
Sham Bat-
Asshole.
And you take the other one.
Yay. Well, we've got Erik Voss.
More like.
Thank you.
Erik lost for
Fine.
the first time because he's the loser and we be the winners.
And the real burn is that she did not say her Twitter handle. so you will gain no followers.
EA
from
Voss.
punch.
It's in the name.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then there's Filup Molina, who's back, which is absolutely wonderful to have you at the table again. And welcome to a new year, 2018. Yay, let's hope it's good.
Thank you. Thanks. It is exciting to be back, and I miss Tommy though. And then of course we have the lovely @ Garrett, who is just like like knight in shining armor, and I think that you should be a lot nicer to Maude in the comments.
I can take it.
Of course you can, but spread the love.
Some of you are
Hate
trash
on all of
people.
us a little
The motto
bit.
of 2018, just be nice. Right?
Yeah,
Is that what you said?
like the things you like, and then otherwise shut up.
Right. Okay, yeah, thank you guys. And comment down below, tweet us at New Rockstars, like this video, share it around, and subscribe to New Rockstars for deep dives and occasional ruinings of movie-going experiences of all the stuff that you love. Guys, thank you for joining us. Happy New Year. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.